All right, welcome everyone. This class is going to be on how to cold call seller finance leads. So, welcome to the call. I'm excited you're all here. Let's make sure we've got everybody connected here. Wade, it's good to see your face, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. How about you?
Good, good. We're just excited to call some seller finance leads here. Get some rental properties in the pipeline.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Eugene, welcome to the call. How are you, my friend? Oh, Eugene, you're on mute. Kathy, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Kathy, I've got some good news for you. Guess what?
What?
All of these calls are now being streamed live from YouTube, which means they're immediately available for replay on YouTube.
Oh, awesome.
So if you just go to the YouTube channel and click on the live tab, that's Mitch and Maeli live on YouTube. Flipping with Mitch and Maeli on YouTube, and then click on the live tab, and you'll be able to rewatch any of these recordings immediately.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Let's see, Michael Walker's here. Welcome, Michael. How are you?
It's very good to see you.
It's good to see you, my friend. Welcome to the call. There's Eugene. How are you, Eugene?
Good, thanks.
Good. Welcome to the call. Thanks for being here.
I had some technical issues, but anyway.
No worries. It happens to the best of us. I was struggling through getting the stream set up for the last hour, so I feel you. And Brock Whitworth's here. What's up, Brock?
What's up?
Welcome to the call, my friend. You're on mute if you're talking.
How we doing?
Good, good. Glad to have you here. The rock star himself, the man behind the curtain.
Yep. What's up?
Ready to learn about some seller financed, how to cold call seller finance leads? Well, I think Brock probably already knows that process. He's a licensed real estate agent, has a lot of experience, but you can never stop learning, right? There's never enough to learn.
Amen to that.
JL's on the call. Welcome, JL. How are you? All right. So let's dive into some announcements. I know people like to kind of trickle in till about 10 minutes after the hour, but we'll go over the announcements. We'll hit them again at the end, and that way we can make sure that everybody is kind of caught up on what it is we're doing. So this week, some of our announcements, I kind of already spoiled it a little bit, but so we have now started, as of the last 3 or 4 weeks, we have started to stream live on YouTube. So not only can you join this call every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time by going to mitchandmaelylive.com. If you go to that URL in your browser, whether you're on your phone or on your computer, it will push you right into the Zoom call, and you can participate if you join us on the Zoom call. Now, if you just want to watch, a great place to do that is on YouTube. You can go to the YouTube channel, Flipping with Mitch and Maeli, click on the live tab, and you can watch these being streamed live as we go into our lessons and our activities for each week. And then those recordings are immediately available for you afterwards. YouTube makes those available, and you can go back and watch them as many times as you want. So, a couple of announcements as far as live meetings go. So, in addition to this group coaching call or real estate community call, whatever you want to call it, that we have every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we also have live events around the country. So if you're wanting to connect live with like-minded real estate investors, reach out to me, shoot me a chat or a comment, and I will get back to you with the time and location of the events that are going on in your area. So we don't have time on the call to go over every event that's going on across the country, but if you have a specific location where you want to go meet up with like-minded students, let me know. I will get you those times and places. In the Utah area, I know a lot of our students are focused kind of our central hub, Utah, where Maeli and I live. So I will just mention we've got 3 events during the week, recurring events during the week that you can attend as real estate investors if you're in the Utah area. We've got 2 events on Tuesdays. We got one at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays in Murray, and another Tuesdays at 7 p.m. in Sandy, and then another at 7 p.m. on Thursday in Sandy. So 1 p.m. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Tuesday, and 7 p.m. Thursday, all in the Sandy Murray area, all in Salt Lake County. So if you'd like to join those, reach out. I will give you the information. They're different topics every week. So even if you wanted to go to all three every week, you'd probably never see a repeat of that information. And then this is our last call before our Mark Kohler event in Idaho Falls on February 17th and 18th. That is this Friday and Saturday. If you want to be a part of that, and believe me, you're going to, if you've seen Mark Kohler's YouTube channel, if you've ever learned anything from Mark, you know that he takes a really boring topic like tax and legal for real estate investors and business owners, and he makes it fun. He makes it fun to learn. We're going to go up and spend 2 full days with Mark, learn everything that he has to teach us about tax and legal when it comes to being a real estate investor. You're going to want to be there if you can make it. So reach out to me if you'd like the information on that. You can do so in the chat if you're on Zoom, or in the comments if you're on YouTube. And then last little bit of announcements before we get into our activity for today. Our upcoming Mitch and Maeli live calls. This week, like I mentioned, we are going to call seller finance leads. We're actually going to do real live smiling and dialing by our resident expert, Maeli. She's going to walk us through and do a training, and then she's going to show us some real live examples. We're actually going to call homeowners live on Zoom here. So I'm glad you guys are here for that. And then next week, we haven't confirmed this yet, but we are trying to bring in motivational speaker Ike Keme. And he's going to talk to us, if he's available to make it, he's going to talk to us about mindset of a millionaire real estate investor. So you're going to want to be there. He'll help you take your business to the next level, get you thinking the way that you need to be thinking in order to scale it to where you want it to be. So with that said, guys, we have an incredible activity for you today. We are going to be live calling sellers of properties. And we're going to be negotiating seller financing. Now, you guys are probably going to see a lot of no's. We hope we get a chance to, to interview these sellers a little bit, and if we're lucky, we'll end up with a seller finance lead. So, Maeli's going to do a little training on that today, and then she's going to open it up, and we're going to start calling. So,
Right.
Without further ado, Maeli, is there anything else you want me to go over before we dive into the training today?
Well, I mean, do you want to go over the different ways to negotiate? Do you want me to? Like, what do you?
Yeah, why don't you take us through kind of what you're going to be doing today, and kind of the strategies you're going to be using, and then we can dive in.
All right, let me screen share here. I always struggle with this, so here we go. Let's see. Hopefully that's it. See your cute faces. Everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, couple just like quick notes. So if you are a real estate agent and you are in the Wasatch Front, that's the current MLS that I'm using, then there's a lot of different tools that you can use as far as, so if you're on like the traditional real estate page, we can do a whole different training if you're an actual real estate agent. But just real quickly, I'll touch base on this. If you go to just search and hit full, over here you can hit custom search. At the very bottom, very, 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 very bottom, you'll see days on market. Wait, where the heck did it just go? Think. Well, maybe I moved it. Oh, there it is. Days on market. Go. Add. Let's see if it comes over here now. It should, yeah. So you can click on that, add days on market, and then it'll create that as a new form, and then hit save form, and then you'll be able to use that as like your, because if you just use the traditional MLS search, you're not going to see days on market. You can go to how many days back, but all that's going to do is show you current, right? Current listings all the way to 90 days back or 200 days or whatever. And so now, unfortunately, you're stuck with something really frustrating because you're just searching through a lot of data. And I find that that's really annoying. So I don't do that typically, but that doesn't mean that, maybe that's something you wouldn't like. Okay, so today, everybody, we're going to actually pull up Redfin. So the reason why I really like Redfin, Zillow also does the same thing as the MLS, because it's actually kind of a copycat as far as how they're pulling information. So Zillow has done an incredible job I don't know how it's legal, to be honest. They must be paying a lot of people a lot of money to do what they do. Because they actually legally can't show the price in the state of Utah of what a home has sold for, and yet they do. So I don't know exactly, but not all of them, which is kind of, frustrating, because you're not gonna be able to see all the listings. You're not gonna be able to see all the homes that have sold, which is why using an agent does help, because you're gonna have a better scope of all the work. But it does have a lot, which is interesting, as far as homes that have been sold. Now, Redfin, however, doesn't necessarily do a good job of telling you what a house is worth. I feel like, as much as maybe Zillow, I feel like they're just a little off from each other. And even then, so this is my note, even if you get the number from Zillow, or you are getting the number from Redfin, I would still, once you run all your numbers and you feel really confident, you've talked to the homeowner like we're going to do tonight, or not homeowner, or homeowner, or agent, then once you, so it's, the analysis, the first step is really running through all the numbers, making sure they're even interested, or they could be interested, and the deal could work based on what you do know. Then once all of that's been done, that's when you got to go do your actual, not just quick analysis, but your long analysis. A long analysis is when you're going to use me, Brock, any of us, and be like, hey, right, any of us agents, and be like, okay, well, now I know what I think is going to work. Let's actually dial in the numbers to a T. And that way, if you're not paying too much for the property, or you're paying, the right amount for the property, and the terms could work properly for you. The last thing we want you to do is get into a really nasty deal because you overpaid $100,000, which actually I've seen quite a bit on Redfin and Zillow lately. I'm like, what's going on? So that's, that's just overall what I would blanket say. But we are going to be using Redfin today. So type in redfin.com, because it is a universal, everyone can use it and most states actually do have Redfin, and most states use Zillow. However, there are states, we found out last week or a couple weeks ago, that Idaho doesn't have Zillow. That was really weird. And then so we had to use Redfin, and so I do bounce back and forth from both of those platforms. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. If you ask me my preference, it actually probably would be Redfin, and this is the only reason why. So if you go to, let's go back to their home screen, and you come to here, so you're going to be buying a property, okay? And then, okay, sure, yep. Then you're gonna be like, okay, so right now it's saying Layton. I'm gonna change that to Sandy, just because that's kind of a bigger platform of where we are selling. Then you're going to change the platform as far as, okay, where am I buying, right? Let's see if it'll actually change. Oh, it was just here. Why did it do that? Okay, we'll change it later. So if you're over here and you're showing, it says Sandy here. Over here, you're actually going to see different filters. So you're going to see for sale, price, home type, beds and baths, and then all filters. I don't really care about necessarily the price. If you do, I kind of want to see everything, right? That's what I want to see when I'm doing this. And then if you have a specific, I don't want to do mobile homes, right? Then don't click on that, right? Townhomes, okay, interested, potentially, right? Maybe condos, maybe a house, maybe a multifamily. I doubt maybe it'll be showing that, but maybe it will, right? And so those are probably what I would be interested in. I wouldn't necessarily be interested in the land for seller financing in this scenario of what we're going to be talking about today. But if that's your jam and you're actually really excited about getting into land, you can put that too, right? So you can kind of see everything. And then over here, this is the most important part. So you will just simply say more than 90 days on market. And this is why I like Redfin. They're the only platform that I know that actually says more than, not also, right? Today and the past 90 days or the past 200 days. That gets really complicated because it's just too many freaking homes to look at, honestly. It just is overwhelming, and you'll sift through too many to make it worth your time as far as I'm concerned. So this is how I do this. If somebody has a better way of doing this, I'm also very coachable. So if you're like, Maeli, you are doing this way harder than you need to be, I'm totally fine with you teaching me as well. That's how I've been doing it for a really long time. So Feel free to chime in, if you will. And HOA fees. So personally, I'm not a huge fan of HOAs, but lately I actually called last week 2 deals where they did have an HOA, but they have a tolerance level. So this is interesting. So if you are in an HOA, I kind of like this because they can, if you are seller finance, if you're renting this out, then they're getting all the amenities. They're getting, if you wanted to do nightly rentals or whatever, like they're getting all these really awesome perks, and you're maybe only paying $70 a month or $25 a month. And last week I almost had it too. I was so sad. I just missed this deal, but you're not quick, man. It's gone, right? But it was $75 a month for the HOA fee. They have a tolerance level, meaning that there's only, like 10 homes in the entire community that can be rented out. And so it was perfect. Honestly, the numbers were just so beautiful, and I was so sad, but it is what it is. Some reason it wasn't meant to be, right? I have to just know that. But HOA, it's totally up to you. For now, I'm just going to leave it, but you can, make it like no HOAs, because that can be frustrating to have to call the HOA. You have to verify all the information. Do not take the real estate agent's word for it for any reason. I promise that will get you into a lot of trouble. I know I'm an agent, and I'm sure some of you on here are agents, but most agents, unfortunately, don't know anything about their actual listings. So that's kind of sad. So I wouldn't count on that. You are an educated investor for a reason, or trying to become one, and that is our job. We become, basically, I don't know if you probably heard me say this all the time, but we legit become like psycho analysts, and we have to, and what do they call them? My brain just went bleep, but like investigators, right? We have to investigate everything about this property. And we have to drive by it. We have to get a feel for like the community. And if for turning it into a nightly rental, you need to know if the neighbors are going to be freaking out at you. What type of neighborhood is it? You probably should go talk to the neighbors before you purchase the property. That would be highly recommended, because if they're going to freak out at you and constantly be calling the cops, you're going to get shut down. All right. Last but not least, that was it. So I did 90 days. You can choose what you want. I feel like that's a very reasonable time to be on the market for somebody to be interested in seller financing. The reason why the average days on market today, let's see what that actually came up as. The average days on market today, just curious because I actually didn't look, is 61 days. So by the way, it went up $1,000. We are on the uptick, finally. Here we go. Today is the day where finally it has been dropping like every single day. Yesterday was actually $569. $569 average sold price. So we are up by $1,260. So that is, here we go, right? Here comes the spring little bump. We are going to not continue to keep declining. We are going to slowly be increasing from here on out, is my gut. But so because its average day is 60 days, I wouldn't say if it's been on the market for 60 days, that's a good time to be calling. Just because their agent's probably been coaching them, right? Oh, it's been 60 days. It's fine. It's normal. Because it is at this point in time. It totally is normal. Once it hits 90 days, all of a sudden it's like, oh man, like what's going on, right? So I will close this one out. So this is what I have pulled up. This is just Sandy. We can go to other locations. We can go to West Valley. Here's the thing. I find that there's different types of agents at different areas of the entire state. West Valley, I feel like more people are less likely to listen to me. I've been doing this a minute. And every time I call a real estate agent that is primarily working in West Valley, I feel like I'm on the phone a lot longer than I need to be. So we can do that. Tonight, if like your guys like, oh, but I want to pick up, $300,000 homes, and that's my jam, we can go call over there and you can see what I'm talking about. It's just a little bit harder sometimes to communicate and get them to, work. But so is there one that kind of, perks your interest? We have, maybe we start with a smaller house. So these are townhomes. They might have the same rules as far as, ooh, look at this one. Don't you think you could sell or finance a $4.9 million home? Yes, we actually totally could, is the truth. If you had a buyer. I like this one. Let's see. Tell me if that looks good to you. 68 photos. All right, this person knows how to take pictures. All right, we got cute. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a remodel. I wonder if I know the agent. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I mean, right, it's not super nice. Like bathrooms, they put a new vanity in, but that's it. They didn't, maybe a new toilet, maybe. But new flooring, they painted. So this is a nice rental though, right? So something, if you watch Mitch's, rental classes that he's been dropping this last few weeks, something that he's going to talk about is the rent cycle. How great would it be to pick up a seller finance deal and then have it move in ready, not have to do anything, right? For some of you, that would be super nice. For us, well, we have a construction company, Brock, right? He does, that's what he does for a living. He literally manages all of this for us and make sure that we do have these properties ready to rent ready. But if you are excited about just a plug and play type property, look at this guy. Like this is, brand new carpet, the kitchen's clean, bathrooms are small but fine, right? Like it doesn't really matter. Is that a second kitchen? Oh, wait a second, I'm gonna go back. I'll look at the numbers here. That could be really nice. Let's see here. Campbell Dosh, I know you are not the agent. Let's see if it tells me all the details here. We got a main level. I do look through these because my conversation with the agent will be very different if I can actually split this property into two, right? If I can rent the upstairs, downstairs, if there's a walkout basement. I don't love how this is laid out, so you can't see exactly. Basement full, number of bedrooms, basement finished, laundry features, electric drag pickup. Let's just go. But that's basically what I'm getting at, is knowing how you're going into the conversation is super helpful. It does already give you kind of like 20%. If you were to give them that, what does that look like? So now we know that 20% of this house is going to be $117,000. I don't want to give them $17,000. I don't. That's not the down payment that I want to give them. It ties up way too much money. So maybe we're looking at too much house, right? So maybe $589,000 is too much house if that's too much down payment. Or we can simply negotiate, maybe a $20,000 or a 10%, right? Instead, and be like, oh, okay, that's actually a little bit more of what I would like to do, because then you can pick up more properties. Okay. So it does do that for you, which is nice when you're kind of going into it, because we're going to be able to negotiate different items on here. First thing, we need to find the agent's phone number, and I did not see that. Let's see. Campbell Dodge, Sandy Redfin agent. I know you're not it. Come on, give me the actual agent. Redfin does a great job. So does Zillow on making you believe that that was your agent, but it's not. Let's see here. Rent. So it also does a rent estimate. So I now know on this house, roughly based on, some homes that have been rented in the area, that we're about $2,500 a month. That's good to know, because when we were up here, we don't need to do that, but just so you know, for seller finance terms. And again, this is a broad stroke, so we're going to go off of that number, 2,500, but know that during your long analysis, we're going to dive deeper and verify with a property management company, right? Where are you? Really? They're not going to list the actual listing agent? Did I miss it? Anybody want to shout it out? Did I miss it? Huh. That's really weird. I know that this guy is not it. You see how it says Redfin? Ask Redfin agent. Campbell question. That's not the actual listing agent. So where? Interesting. Well, I guess this is what happens when you I don't know. You can probably go to Zillow and try and find it that way if you're super excited about it. I'm just gonna cheat and go to the MLS because I can. Oh, doesn't want that guy though. What is it doing? Go. All right, let's see. Smiling and dialing. So this will tell me a little bit more. Basement has 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, 20. This is a pretty big property. This will be super nice. fantastic rental. All right. Here is David Millard, excuse me, 3%. I always love to see that. Willing to pay a little bit. We can have some room to negotiate, which is great. So this is the phone number that we're going to call. I'm going to just write down real quick, if I don't lose it. David. Is it wise choice? Well, a county. Interesting. What are you doing in Sandy? 7065062. And then do they have another number? They do. I always write down both numbers because even if David doesn't answer, maybe he has an assistant or a co-agent. It doesn't show a co-agent, but then at least I can potentially get a hold of him a different way. It is interesting how many agents do not answer their phone. So we'll see how many people we actually get a hold of tonight. But they do typically call me back, so not a terrible thing. One more thing that we're going to take a little look at is this guy. So back to kind of what, I've shown you this before on our last seller finance training that we did. These are basically just the pros and cons of seller financing and or subject to, right? So we can talk about the different ones. Realistically, they're all going to be a subject to unless their mortgage is paid off. Okay, so that's kind of how you're just going to separate both of them. And if you're a real estate agent, it does show like it all in one versus, so there's some different verbiage as a real estate agent. But these are the pros and cons. If you don't have this as a, you don't have this paperwork that I've already shown most of us that are on this call, please let us know. Mitch will share this with you in the chat, because that was something I wanted to give for you for free today, just so you have, my script basically. So today we're going to negotiate 5 different things. So we're going to talk about purchase price. We're going to talk about the amortization schedule, and we can say 5 years, 20 years, 50 years. It doesn't really matter, right? As long as we get the payment that we need. So if we're using this property, for instance, what we need to as our payment realistically needs to be about $2,000 if we know that our payment's going to be $2,500 or whatever, right? Or if the rent is going to be $2,500, so we can cash flow. Interest rate, down payment, balloon payment. Now, I don't go over, I talk about this, as you can see in the conversation, but I don't actually give them numbers until I give them an offer, right? I want time to really play with the numbers, come up with what works for me, right, as the investor before I blurt out, hey, I'd be willing to give you this, and then the numbers are all wrong, and it's like, just kidding, I couldn't do that. Why did I don't know why I said that to you. So this is the script. Any questions before we just start diving right on in?
Can I say something? I don't have a question.
Yeah.
When I can't find it, like say I'm on Zillow and I can't find who the agent is, I always go to realtor.com and look up the listing, and the listing agent is right there.
There you go. That works. Realtor.com. That's great advice. See, as an agent, I would never do that. So I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was even a thing. So thank you for sharing. Any other, let's see. Okay. So I'm going to read through this just so I have an idea of what we'll be saying and where I insert things. So I am interested in the property you have listed at blank. So we'll insert the address, and I will have, so I'm going to keep this up. So real quick, I'm actually going to put down the address just so we're calling on the right property. 941. Most agents do have more than one listing, so you can't just call and be like, hey, I'm interested in this property that you have listed, and they'll be like, okay, which property? And then you have to spend the time fumbling through your notes to be like, sorry, I don't have the address. Does it sound like I've already done this before? Yeah, I've done that many times. It's true. Okay, so back to the offer. Okay, in this address, can you tell me a little bit about why it's been listed for so long on the market? End of story, right? You just let them talk at that point in time. They're going to give you a bunch of different things of why they think it's been listed too long. They're going to say, my client, it's listed too long because my client has overpriced it. That's probably the most common, if they are willing to tell you that and share that with you. sometimes they're not willing to share that with you, and that's fine. I mean, they're trying to protect their client. Their job isn't to tell us all the deets, right? But they usually do. Because my client won't come down in price. That's probably the top one. Because it's kind of a funky layout. I get that one all the time, right? And so it's going to take a unique buyer. Fine, that's no big deal, because they haven't received an offer that they really like. Okay, so now we know that they're going to be sticklers on price. My client needs more for their home than it's worth, right? Kind of the similar theme here. If I get any of those, I'm gonna just keep going, right? None of that bothers me. If they are full disclosure, they probably won't over a phone call. But if they full disclosure of like, oh well, we've had meth problems, or we've had foundation issues, or we've had, I mean, there's a lot of things they could say, but that's not very common. So we'll get into that. Perfect. Well, I have great news. I work with an agent or with agents to help them get their full commission, as well as get their clients' home sold super fast. Why do you think I would say that? I work with agents like you, right? I'm talking to them on the phone. I work with agents just like you, right? To help them get their full commission, as well as get their clients' home, your client's home sold really fast. Well, I say that because most of the time, and this is just so you have an understanding, when you're talking to real estate agents, this is low-hanging fruit, guys. Obviously, we can go call leads that are just homeowners, right? Or for sale by owners, or whatever, off of KSL or Craigslist, or off of NODs, whatever. These are just low-hanging fruit. We might as well be calling them, and nobody is. So we call them. Agents think, for whatever reason, their broker told them, or they heard it through some weird, platform, that they don't get paid if it's a seller finance deal. I don't know why they've been told this. I've never seen it work out like that, but that's what they've been told. So that is something that I lead with, so that they perk interest. Right? They're like, oh, interesting. All I heard is I get paid, right? And my client can help. I can help sell their client super fast. Oh, okay, I can do that. I have a buyer who's willing to pay full price for this home if they would be open to a creative financing. And I use creative financing because, once again, they can't just immediately be like, no, my client's not interested in that. You might hear that tonight, because they do. They say that immediately as if they have a reason. They don't have the right to say no for their client.
I would even say over asking price. Mm-hmm. To get them interested, because we are willing to pay over asking price.
Yeah. I mean, I want to kind of understand a little bit more before I drop that bomb, usually, because I want to know what we're working with. I am maybe willing to pay over asking. Maybe that sounds intriguing, right? But because, yeah, we will pay over asking for sure. But unfortunately, if I drop that out first, then I can't use it later, and I'm going to want to use it later on in this conversation. So just as far as the script that I personally use, you can have fun with it. Mitch has been doing this a long time too. He can obviously use it whenever he wants to. But I always hold out the most important thing to the client. So when the agent is talking, I'm going to hold hostage whatever I hear is their hot point, whatever their pain point is. Whether it's maybe they got to get out of this super fast. Well, guess what my ammo is? Great news. I can close within, 2 weeks. I can close within 2 weeks. Like I'm gonna push that hot button as fast as I possibly can and as hard as I possibly can. If their hot button is my client needs more than what their house is worth, right? And they keep going, yeah, well, unfortunately, we're just not getting the offer that we need. And if they say that over and over, great news. We know that is what they're looking for. We'll probably get in the door just by simply saying exactly what Mitch said, right? Like, hey, actually, great news. We're willing to pay more than like what you have it listed for. Why? Because we can, and this is why. Because we can negotiate 5 different things, and we will, right? I'll go over how we negotiate. But before we do that, we will say, let me explain what creative financing is. We can come up with the terms that my buyer needs as well as your seller. With creative financing, we can negotiate 5 different things to make this a win-win for both parties, right? And then I go through purchase price, amortization, interest, down payment, and balloon payment. I go over what those mean. And then I can give you multiple examples of deals I have set up. That's something that they're going to want. So you have to realize these people have no idea what the heck you're talking about most of the time. They might think they do, and they're lying. I'm telling you right now, They're lying. I've been doing this way too long. They are lying. They don't know what it looks like. So giving them examples of what a deal actually look like, they'll be super excited to see that. I have really cool program that allows me to change any one of these 5 negotiating areas to see what your client might be interested in. That's like, oh, that's interesting, right? And so we have a calculator. And if you're excited about it and you would like to use it, we can use that tonight as well when we're kind of playing around with numbers. In fact, I should probably pull that guy up while we're chit-chatting. Let's get the good old calculator on here. Let's see here. Do you know what it's actually called, babe? I think I re-put it in a different... do you remember what the calculator is called? I have it on my other... No? Yes? Mitch Nelson? Are you there? Sure. I'll do that. Where'd it go? I already clicked on that once. I don't know why it does that. Okay, this is the calculator. And this is what you would be sending them, right? As far as different examples of offers you have done. So you can fill it out like, hey, this is this address, this is the seller, this was the buyer, and then these are the terms that we agreed upon. And then your client ended up actually making $466,000, where before your home was like they were only going to get $400,000 for their house, right? Getting $66,000 more for their home by simply doing seller financing, right, gets them excited. So I do use this calculator all the time. It's made my life very easy as far as just negotiating terms and whatnot. So we'll have some fun. I don't know why it's doing that. If you're wondering why there's blue there, I have no idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and smile and dial. Any questions, concerns before we give this David Miller to get good call?
Oh, cleared my throat. Sorry.
Tim, welcome. All right, we're just getting ready to smile and dial. So we do have the script up here, and you're just jumping in right when we're about to call. So how fun. Okay.
Hello, David.
David, this is Maeli with eXp Realty. How are you?
Doing all right.
Good,
What's going on tonight?
good. You know, just hanging out, just
Well,
trying to make some money,
yeah.
right?
Crazy realtors.
Uh-huh.
Realtors. Gone wild.
Yeah, gone wild. I love it.
It's a realtor.
Oh, oh no, we're stressed.
Oh no. Realtor. She's broken.
She's broke. It's true. Yes, this market is.
Friday night for me. What's going on?
What'd you say?
I said it's Friday night for me, so
Oh yeah, why is that?
it's just the schedule I've got with my kids, so it's
Oh.
like that.
Well then, happy Friday.
What are you doing? Sorry about that.
Oh, you're
It's my Friday night.
then cheers to Friday. It's the freaking weekend. I'm actually calling on your property that you have at 941 Salas Avenue in Sandy.
Yeah, you know what? Who's it? Siri? She called it Statis. That's what most of the neighbors call it.
Statis?
I don't know how they say it.
I have no idea there. I went for it, but I probably said it wrong.
And since it's in it, I'm not even gonna say that. So, what can I tell you about it?
Well, so it's been on the market for a second, and I was actually just kind of curious what you can tell
The
me.
second, the new minute. Is that?
Yes, yes.
Kids often remind me, God, you're old and you're slow.
Oh, that's all good. Oh, well, it's all good.
Since it's Friday.
It's Friday.
Your first name again? You say Miley?
It is Maeli, yep.
Mealy. Okay. Yeah, I'm used to hearing the Miley, right?
Yeah, I go by whatever. It's all good.
She backs it up. So, you know the song.
I do.
So, Mealy.
Yep.
So, okay. The first I've ever met. So,
Well, the first time for everything. Sounds like we're gonna be really good friends. In fact.
I appreciate that. I could use one.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's been on a minute, and let's just to cut through the whole
Yep.
addendum number one relation. It's my dad who pays, and it's my brother who kind of does the work or contracts. He's the contractor, kind of points the right people, and does the things. So does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's a family, right?
Dad, brother, they do the work, so I know kind of what's going on. Yeah, had it since June when we made an offer on it. Bought it from the first time. Only homeowners that ever had, the original owners.
Nice.
Died dead, so their kids, right? Come through that. They had an 800 square foot addition added on to the back. Nice. The guy was a car dealer here in town. He owned a local Chevrolet or something, or Ford, one of those. I didn't know. Wheaton. So you have to be older than me to know that one. I don't know that one. So, anyway, they did a nice job. They kept everything, but they also just kind of left everything the way it was. It was like, not like cars. Homeowners owned the original, still had the original appliances in the kitchen from 1964, whatever it was. It was like going back into the Brady Bunch and turning on the TV. And it was kind of cool in a way, but just old. So anyway, it's been upgraded. The kitchen was all replaced.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely. So I'm like, ooh, why has it been sitting? You know what I mean? Like it's a great remodel.
It has no wow factor. That's my thing with it. It's like it has got to get a little curb appeal. So I've been working on something and making any progress in this weather.
Yeah, no, that's the hard part. This weather really
So
just
we've had some stupid offers, and we've had some bad financing offers. The money guy is 80 years old. He doesn't want anything long term seller financing unless it's just to get it refied, 6 months or a year or so. If you wanted to do something like that.
Okay, actually that's exactly why I was calling. So I have a client so I actually have multiple people who need to
Wait for the rates to go back down again.
Right, and or they just have to. I know, right? No, totally. But not even that. Like I have some clients that actually I'm meeting with a gentleman tomorrow at 2, and he needs to buy a house. And he doesn't qualify just yet. Does that make sense? And so that's hard.
A little easier.
Yes, exactly. Refi is a lot easier. Mm-hmm.
That would be, he's 80. I
Yeah.
don't know how many times I can mention this. And no long term.
Okay, no long term.
Yeah.
Got it.
Bring it on.
Okay, well, I will look at that, see kind of what my numbers are, and walk through. You do know then kind of what seller financing is in those terms, and kind of how we can negotiate that with purchase, amortization, interest rate, down payment, balloon. Do you know what you'd be looking for as far as?
I've heard those words before, actually.
Okay, that's good. I love it. Do you know what you'd be looking for as far as like a down payment, or?
He's a pretty reasonable guy. That's the one. His downside is. He'll lend money to me or my brother at hard money rates, but he'll give you like reasonable rates. That's family.
Yeah, that's family.
So, way too revealing. Once again, the last entertainment we did there was probably I think it was 7.5, maybe 8%, and it was on a 15, 20-year amortization. He's a reasonable guy. And then it just got painful after, say, 6 months. Sure, we go up maybe to 8 or 8.5 or 9.
Sure.
It wasn't much. I recommend 15, but he doesn't like mine. He's the dad. So, he didn't want to make it too painful, but he wants to make it painful enough that 6 months they want to refind it out. That was the last deal that we looked at was similar.
Okay.
So,
Well, let me get back to my, handy dandy notebook, and thank you so much for your time, David, tonight. Have a good weekend. We'll hopefully talk to you soon.
24/7. That's what I do. So.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
Okay. Good evening.
Oh boy, that guy is. This is Friday, obviously. Too much information. All right, let's call somebody else. So as you can see, luckily I actually do have a client that a loan officer just recently hooked me up with, and they do need to buy a house, but they don't qualify just yet. And it's a little bit outside their price range, but I do think maybe we can negotiate something. So I actually might use this. You probably didn't get anything out of that, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll go back to the drawing board here and find a different property. Anything you wanted to talk about after that phone call, however? Did you see not very risky or scary anymore? You just called, said hi. Any conversation here? Ooh, sounds pretty.
Oh, we're allowed to talk?
Yeah, now you can. I'm on the phone.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sick right now.
Oh, Tracy, you're sick?
Yeah, I'm a little sick. I just went to the store to get myself some feel-good medicine so I could go to sleep. But I was asking Mitch a question. He's like, "Oh, you guys were on talking about seller finance," and I'm right in the middle. But are you doing this from the standpoint of trying to find someone to do a seller finance so
Yep.
you can purchase it as a rental? Or
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So we are smiling and dialing anything that is over 90 days on the MLS or just on Redfin. I'm using Redfin just because we have a lot of people on here that aren't real estate agents, and so this is just an ability to kind of show. Ooh, so this needs some work. I actually like that just because it allows for me is kind of exactly what our jam is not perfect, so we have a little bit of wiggle room to be like, yeah, you're not going to get that for your property because look, there's a nice backyard, it's a cute little 1-car garage. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's in a super cute neighborhood. I can go through and look at the address and verify everything, but the kitchen, for a rental, meh. Right? I mean, there's not a lot here that I would change, to be honest. Maybe we could pull out and get a bigger space in the basement, like this, right? Maybe we could do something like that. That's awesome. Or leave it, depending on what the comps show. But this is exactly what I would be looking for personally when I'm smiling and dialing. So that makes me happy. Let's see if they have. I'm not even gonna try to find the agent on this one because.
Were you smiling the whole time when that last guy was talking?
Oh, I was smiling. I was just having too much fun, especially because he was a goober. I like the goober. Get along. All right, there is still no real estate agent listed. Good job, Redfin. You're fired. Okay, let's go to the top. So the MLS number.
I have a quick question. Do you pay for Redfin, or is this something that?
So you don't have to pay for
you have
Redfin.
to pay for?
You have to have an account with Redfin. Like, it's free. So it'll say, over here it says Maeli. You just sign up, and then you can have like full access to the website. But yeah, you don't have to pay anything to use Redfin properly. Again, obviously pay for leads and all that good jobby stuff, but I do not do that. All right, we'll go back to MLS. Let's get a new number here. All right.
You could find the leads, better leads than what they give you, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we're doing right now, right? Okay. So, make some notes here. Call. That's the other thing, guys. Make sure you're taking good notes. I find that that's probably half of my team's problem when they're calling and they're doing stuff, is that they'll come back to their notes tomorrow, because it's late, right? They'll come back to their notes tomorrow and then be like, I don't remember what they, you know what I mean? Make good notes. And I like that guy. He was funny, so I'm going to invite him out to a Renata's thing, because why not? How fun. Okay. Next thing. So we're going to be calling on this guy. Shows days on market, 112 days. So this is perfect for what we're looking for. 2,400 square feet. It's pretty simple. I wouldn't say this is anything too crazy. Let's see. Welcome home is a fully fenced 5-bedroom, 3-bath split level. Home has been refreshed up with new flooring, paint, blah, 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 blah. Nothing too crazy. Curious why it's been on the MLS. Well, let's give these people a little jingle. All right, we got Bethany. She's gonna love me calling her at 8 o'clock at night. I know it. Actually answered just like the last guy. That's what we do for a living. So when somebody calls me at 8, 9, I still answer. My cutoff's like 9:30. I don't answer after 9:30, but let's see here. 4, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 2606. And 2.5% here. That's all right. Okay. Honestly, I don't really care about that. I just, as an agent, happen to look at it, right? And then I look at where their brokerage is because I kind of know then, like, what they've been being brainwashed into thinking. And Century 21's really good at brainwashing their agent into thinking that seller financing isn't good. So we'll see what happens here. But let's go ahead and give them a jingle. Yeah. Any questions, though, before I do give a call? 6.
Hi, and thank you for calling Century 21, Parker Real Estate Professional. The office is currently closed. If you know your agent's extension, you may dial it at any time, or you may leave a message by pressing 0.
How rude. You get an office. This is what happens when you work with those stupid companies. You don't even get a person. That's terrible. Let's try this other number. 4, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 2606. See, this is Bethany. Nope, that's not it. Let's try this one. 4, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. Oh no, that's the one I just called. Gosh darn it. Stinking Century 21 people having voicemails. That's ridiculous. For corporate. All right, now I can put on your corporate though. So now I already did the research though, right? So half the issue is done. So you just write down the MLS number, and you put on there that it's Century 21, and call during work hours, which is 9 to 5. How do you do business 9 to 5? I don't understand as an agent. That makes no sense. And all I need? Yes, it is. Okay, off to the next one. See, we don't waste time here. We gotta get to it. Let's get rid of this guy. We'll get rid of that guy. That's too bad. I really like that one. All right, let's look for another one. You got anything else? What are you looking at? Let's see. That looks like it's close to. That's on Sago Lily. Interesting. Let's not waste any time here. Let's go straight to the. Oh, go away. Oh, good heavens. There we go. And back to the MLS. And let's find another property. Do this all day long, people. All day long. That's all good. So typically I do my research in the morning, or like when no one's awake at 6 a.m. or really late at night when no one's awake and I can't sleep. I'll do this part, right, that we're doing right now. That way I'm not wasting time where people are awake or why people could be, so I didn't today, and I'm sorry, but I wanted to show you how I do it. That was part of this process. I didn't want to just like have an entire list ready and then like, right, so I didn't do any of that for this specific round, but normally, just so you know, to be very effective and efficient, I don't do this at the same time. I do opposite, like I'll do this at night or 6 in the morning when no one's awake. Price reduced, perfect. Make your move. Tasteful remodel is done. Da, 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 da. Tasteful remodel means it's probably a crap remodel. That's probably what that means. Yeah. Remodel? No. But the floor is done, so that's cool. Bathroom has a new vanity. This is tasteful, guys. This is what we work with. Oh my gosh. This is why we stand out in this community. Good heavens. Okay. So, but a perfect rental, right? I honestly probably wouldn't do a ton to this. I would definitely do new paint, and probably new baseboards, because that's, you'll just get more rent for that. But I wouldn't open up walls. I wouldn't probably change out, cupboards or cabinets. Probably a new fridge, maybe. But realistically, I probably wouldn't do too much more. So let's just. Oh, days on market. What was it? 221 days on market. Yikes! I'm sad for these people. They're probably in a really bad pinch, is the truth. That is what's going on. All right. My guess is that it's a similar situation as David was in, where they're listing a property of their own and they're getting screwed because their house is not worth what they think it is. Or it's a family member and that's what they're making them do, right? Let's see here. Not on formal brokers, that's good. 801 455 5515. And we'll also call the other one. Okay. 801 455 Wow, that's too many numbers. I do not know what I just did. Okay, here we go again. White City, the perfect rental.
Please leave your message for 801-455-5515.
Hi Lynn, this is Maeli Nelson with eXp Realty, and I'm actually just calling you on your property listed at 1609 East Sago Lily Drive. And I have a client that is willing to actually give your client more than maybe what your house is potentially worth. But we obviously want to do some maybe creative financing. If you'd be open to having a conversation about that, I think we could create a win-win for both of us here. Obviously get you your full commission, I can get my commission, we can all get out of this with, you know, some success. Call me back, 801-529-4575. I'd love to chit chat. Thanks so much. Bye. They don't answer, like I said. You can win as a real estate agent. This is what I do, and I don't know if you have agents on the line here, but I can win almost any listing simply by that. I can literally be like, okay, who's my competition that you're gonna not list with me? Okay, call so and so, see if they answer. They don't answer. How are you supposed to sell a house if you don't answer? This is why it's been on the market so long. No, I would run comps too on this because this actually looks like a really good one. Because it's in White City, perfect rental. I don't know if you're familiar with White City at all, but it's kind of the hood within a really nice area. It's really weird. It's really weird. Okay, so 1844757 is the MLS number. Crazy. We're not getting too far here tonight, people. It's okay. We'll find one. Let's see if we can get to a lower. Got a townhouse.
I mean, this is a good example of the numbers game that this is, right? Mm-hmm. We've talked, I think, several times on this call about the book Go for No. And I think, in that book, he talks about, the sales process. And really, what finding properties is it's parallel to the sales process. It's almost identical to it. We're going to have to get several no's before we get a yes. And if we can just embrace that and change our mindset about it, we can actually start using the no data to figure out how many no's we need to get a yes. So you're going to get more no's than yes. That's true tonight. That's true always. But you got to get through those no's. You got to sift through those no's to get to the yes. I like to always say that finding properties is like panning for gold, right? When you stick your pan in the river, you pull out mostly not gold. But then you sift it through a process of different filters and different things, and you're left with a few gold nuggets or gold flakes that are going to be worth money. And the property finding process is exactly the same. It's going to take a little bit of work. You're going to have to sift through some garbage, but eventually you'll get to where you're making money, as long as you don't give up, right?
Oh my gosh. I have a new client. This is exactly the house she needs. Oh, I'm so happy we did this tonight. Sorry, guys. Total side note. She wants horse property. There's no freaking horse property in Sandy. Look what the heck I just found. How did I not see this before? That's crazy. Anyway, that's really weird. But real quick, I'm saving this address and we'll call on it because why would we not? 10735 South Sandy. And we got this listed for 569. And something that's really cool that I think would be really fun is her budget is $615,000 is what she got is approved for. So how cool we could put this in. This looks to me like it's going to need a lot of TLC, right? It's going to need some help. But as, you know, Brock and I could work on this together essentially and be like, hey, we'll put 20,000 into it for you and bada bing, bada boom, everyone's happy. So as long as everyone can make their monies, this would be maybe a cool one to play with. Let's see here. So there's a lot of fun things, I guess is what I'm saying. Don't ever look at a property and be like, no, like, oh gosh, get creative with it, right? Like, have some fun. Don't just assume that it's a crap hole because this looks like it might be. Yeah, it's really ugly. Definitely not move-in ready by any means. I mean, you could get an FHA loan on it, which is crazy to think about, but you could. But it's got a 3-car garage. I mean, that's super nice. It needs some serious love, though. Too bad. Okay, but realistically, as a rental, once again, we could put some cheap cabinets in there. We got hookups there. Flooring, fine, leave it, right? Just new paint, new carpet. It's fine. But the hardwood floors, those are actually, if you got them cleaned up and buffed, like, those aren't terrible. Looks like they kind of have new carpet. I don't know. But anyway, so I like this one a lot. This is on Maeli's favorite list. Okay. We are going to be calling Jonathan. Do I know you? I think I know you. Go back. Just because of the last name. I remember that. It's a funny last name. 801-448-3800. And in the agent world, it is kind of a small world, right? You end up just knowing everyone. That's kind of weird how that works, but there's also another name on here. Oh, that's just a listing office. So it'll show like who probably is on here. So Jonathan's going to be this guy or this number, and then the Paramount Real Estate is probably going to be this number. You can call and double check, but usually that's kind of how it is. Like the corporate office, they'll put as a second number so that if they don't answer, they can call the office and get some details if they have any. But it doesn't look like they actually do. 2 Pro water shares included with purchase, not included in the sale. Okay, see? So we have to be creative here to make this work. I love this kind of deal though, because most agents would run from this like, what? I have to do what outside of it? Because you have to do 2 separate transactions here. You have to do a bill of sale and the traditional purchase of the property. That would freak a lot of people out if you don't know what the heck you're doing. So this is a cool property to for me to call on. So let's get to it. Getting a little late, so let's call real quick. Maybe this might be the last one, unfortunately, but let's hopefully they answer. Yeah, answer.
Hi, this is the Google Assistant. Can I ask what you're calling about? Your answer will be recorded and a transcript will be provided to the person you're calling.
Yes, I'm calling about your property that you have listed at 543 East, 10735 South in Sandy, Utah.
All right, hang on while I try to reach them.
Hello, it's John.
Hey John, how are you? This is Maeli from eXp Realty.
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Did I catch you at a good time?
If you can put up with my stilts and my sheetrock muddy, yeah.
Oh man, what are you doing?
I'm just working on my houses, one of my houses.
Okay, so you do like renovations? You do fix and flips?
Yeah, and new construction, but I'm just a one-man band. I don't, it's just so much easier to manage my schedule.
Oh man, you are not the person that you are braver than I am. I could not do that. That's amazing.
I save so much money. I mean, this will cost me about $90,000. It's a place in Draper. You know, and if I had subbed this out, it would have been close to $350,000.
Dang, yeah, that is crazy. Time is money though, brother. Time is money.
It is, especially when the market's a little weird like right now. It's nice to focus on getting the rentals shipped up and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's actually why I'm giving you a jingle tonight. So I will not cut, I'll just cut to the chase, really. So I am calling to kind of just check on your property that you have listed at 107355 Sandy.
Uh-huh.
So it's been on the market for just a second, and I was like, oh, this could be. I love homes that are almost ready for rent, right? But they're not maybe 100% rent ready. Can you tell me a little bit about this property?
So the reason why it's been on for a little bit is my sellers bought it, thought they were going to move there and raise horses for their family and that sort of thing. And then they decided it was too far away from family. And so then they decided to subdivide it and sell it. And so that's why it's been on the market for quite some time. But they finished the subdivision. The city and the county have already signed off on it. And, you know, the last thing they have to do is put down a little sod and put a fence along the backyard that runs east to west. And then it's just also, you know, managing the expectations of the seller who, you know, look to sell this at a little bit higher price because the market was, it was just starting to cool.
Right.
So I'm just managing their expectations as I slowly get them down to what market rates should be. So if they're not in a hurry to do anything.
That makes it hard.
You know,
Yeah, that makes it hard.
Yeah, and you know, we get all kinds of fix and flipper offers, and I've seen some really interesting, these young kids, you know, come in and they, you know, offer $297.
Oh my gosh, how embarrassing.
I know. So, you know, I mean, my clients are reasonable, but they want somebody that's legit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, you know, my husband and I, we actually do a lot of fix and flips. We've actually done over 200 fix and flips now in the last 10 years. And that's been great, but we're not doing fix and flips anymore. Right? We're like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've definitely pivoted. Yep. For sure. So you get me. I love that. Right? You're like, nah, we've been doing this too long to play with that anymore. But so really though, we pick up all of our properties via like creative financing. Do you know a little bit about that? Are you familiar with like creative financing?
Well, there's a lot that comes under that definition, so you have to.
Sure, I can narrow it down. Yeah, well, it just kind of depends on really the seller. So I say creative because we can be very creative. I mean, I've created some interesting deals to make it work for both parties, right? And so I love creative financing because we can negotiate for both sides to make it work for us in 5 different ways. So we can negotiate purchase price. Most of the time, we can get it to where we're getting your commission that you need as a down payment, but also a purchase price that gives them more than what their house is probably worth. And in this case, that might be really enticing to them just because, you know, they maybe aren't ready for the price drop. You know, they're like, no, my house is worth this. It's like, well, kinda, you know. And so a lot of times we can give you what your house, you know, more than maybe what their property is worth or what at least they have it listed at. We can negotiate with the amortization schedule. And usually we do that is just to create the right payment for us to make the rent, you know, for us to actually cash flow something on the other side. And then the interest rate we can negotiate. And of course the balloon payment we can negotiate. So we can really have some fun with just playing with terms and, you know, whatever they need to get out of the deal to make it work. And then we obviously have, really at the end of the day, all we need is cash flow. So that at end of story, that's kind of all we're looking for. We're definitely willing to give them more than what the house is worth, all those things, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to us, right? We're in it for the long play. We want this property for 100 years, truthfully. So, yeah. Do you think that they'd be interested in something like that if we could get them some cash flow every month as well?
Well, so that same kid that offered $297, he had an or $500,000 on a 50-year note at 2% interest only payment. So, and my sellers were like, no, this is just, it's too wacky.
That is wacky,
like
though.
Yeah, so it would have to be something that makes sense. And usually for my sellers, what would make sense is quite a large down payment. If they're going to carry a contract, they're going to want to make sure that there's some real skin in the game.
Okay. What would be, I mean, if they're
20%.
Okay, all right, perfect.
That would probably get a discussion going.
Okay. Yeah, I'm willing to put something together that looks like that. We would, you know, maybe we would tweak then maybe everything else to give them exactly that, right? But let's have some fun. So I have a calculator that I can kind of throw together like 4 or 5 different options. But let's talk you and I first on the phone as I'm kind of creating those things. That way you can be like, oh yeah, actually these 2 would probably be best for my clients, right? And then we can have that conversation with them. I also personally like to sometimes, because a lot of people don't have a clue what the heck seller financing is or creative financing. And so a lot of times I actually end up talking to the client and that's totally fine too. Just so they really understand where we're coming from, how we're in this to be partners, right? Like we want this to be as smooth as possible. We do not want hiccups on our side either, right? Like we want this to be very smooth. And we really want them to get exactly what they want for their property. At the end of the day, we honestly want them to be very happy so that they can tell their friends and family too, right? Like, hey, these guys are they bought my house. Like, yeah, they did. And they bought full price, right? So, is there a good time that I could get back to you with these numbers?
It would be best if it were, you know, mid-morning or, you know, no later than noon.
Okay.
That would be great. And you know, I'll work with you. I don't want to use the word sophisticated, but I'm sophisticated enough to understand any financial strategy you throw. So. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's great. I would love to work with you as well. Looks like, sounds like you have a good head on your shoulder. You know what you're doing. I love it. So yeah, I'll work on the calculator, kind of look at the terms that we need as far as like what we think the most we could get for rent. Because really at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for, right? So we need to know what the most we could get for rent and in the condition of the house, or if we need to put stuff into the house, what does that look like? So I'll run those numbers. First, I just wanted to see if that would be even an option. You know what I mean? Like a potential option.
You'll have to put some money into the house. And
yeah.
As a general contractor, if you're doing the work yourself, I would say your materials are going to be at least 30 to 40,000, and so that might turn you off right away. And that's just materials.
Okay.
That's just spruce it up and, you know, hopefully put a bathroom in the basement to maximize your rentability, because the 3 bedrooms in the basement do not have a dedicated bathroom. The 2 bathrooms are upstairs.
Okay.
You know, in order to get your $3,200 a month or so.
Okay. No, that's super helpful to know. And then any other little things that you could think of that really need to be done to the property?
You know, the long-term strategy that I would see if I picked up this property would be to actually move the garage to the east and open that lot up in the back, kind of reposition the house in essence. But that's not what you guys would probably do. But that I think would increase the value a lot.
Interesting.
You know, it has 2 water shares, you know, for irrigation, which makes irrigation a little bit cheaper each month. But it's definitely going to need some work to get it, you know, kind of get it up to that maximum rental dollar amount,
Sure.
you know, in the 3,000s.
Right. That makes sense. So tell me a little bit actually about those water shares. So there's a separate purchase price. What are they selling that for?
They're included in the purchase price.
Oh, they are. Oh, okay. They're just a separate bill of sale. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're included in that purchase price.
That's perfect. Okay. I love that. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for, you know, chit-chatting with me. I have now my work to do. You know, I'll run my numbers and see where I'm at. I actually look forward to talking with you tomorrow, and I hope we can make something work.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Hey, you too. Talk soon. Bye. There you go.
Maeli, we got about 13 minutes left. I think let's kind of do a synopsis or a culmination of what we went through tonight and talk about some of the calls and open it up for questions.
I like that. Yeah. Tell me what you think. What do you think? So if I always rate each person that I talk to, right, as like, oh, this person is able to actually go down this rabbit hole of doing seller financing, right? I think that, so I rate, you know, each agent or homeowner, whoever I'm talking to, whether it's a KSL ad or whatever, whoever I'm talking to. What would you rate this from 1 to 5? 5 being like, this guy's like, oh, he's super excited, he's willing to will and deal with me, or a 1 where he's like, don't call me.
I would say he's a 4.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I could totally push him over, honestly. Numbers don't lie, right? So as soon as I show him his calculator, I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna be like, oh yeah, actually, I think my clients would like that. Right?
I like the way that you control the conversation for somebody who was a little queasy about it. He jumped right on your ship.
Yep. He absolutely did. And I will say that is sales 101. Just be their friend. Honestly, right? At the end of the day, it's about trying to do what's best for them and their client, always making it about them, but giving credibility so where it's due. Leverage us, right? When you're smiling and dialing, that is probably one of the best things you can do is like my team and I, right? If you're part of our team and you are working with us, then you do get to own that credibility. And when you buy into your education and when you did all of those things, that's what you did. You said you're a part of this community. And so you can take on the, hey, my team and I have done over 200 fix and flips. That immediately goes, oh, I'm not just some joker like he was making fun of those kids, right? I bet I know exactly who's calling too. Gavin Sundell. Love that kid, but he guaranteed probably called him because I taught him how to do all this. So I know he's calling everyone right now. But he's doing it wrong in the sense that he's just some punk kid, right? And he's, probably, oh, look at all these great things I can do for you. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, do you even know what he wants? Do you even know what they want? So I do think you gotta drop it down a little. Don't get so excited. That's my tendency, is to get really excited about something, right? You know me. But really just kind of keep it chill so they feel like you're on their playing level and you're in it with them, right? On their team. Any other little comments? I like that one though, Tim. I think I can push him over.
Maeli, a quick question if I may.
Please.
So obviously I see that you're focusing quite a lot on the MLS or the Zillows and so on, but are you also, or are you looking into the properties that are being registered by the financial institutions for people who are going to be placed into foreclosure? And if so, where or how do you and your team actually access that data more readily than really digging into the town records, or is that the only place that you're going to find it?
That's a really good question. There's actually an entire course. Do you have, I don't know everybody on the call here on Mitch, maybe you can chime in here a little bit, but so there is an actual 8-hour course on how to find off-market deals. I don't know if you've seen that. Mitch also has a deal. Have you seen that before?
Right, yeah, because I did it as part of the training that I did with Mitch as well. Yeah. So it is very time consuming. If you as you know, if you do it individual.
Yeah. So something that I would do is just go to the courthouse. I would just show up to the courthouse and be like, I need these leads. That is the best advice that I can give you, because they're going to give you, you know, the divorce leads. They're going to give you the meth leads, like, you know, all the stuff that's in your training, right? All the different ways that you can be like, ooh, divorce, or somebody that's got an NOD, right? A notice of default. Those are all going to be on there, and they're starting to pick up. They're not a ton right this second. So, and because there's not a ton of NODs, they're starting to hit, right? They're starting to get called due, which is fantastic-ish. Not great for them, great for us. Hate to say it that way, but it is. We're here to help, right? So I think, you know, they'll start picking up. I definitely think by the end of the summer, it's going to be an NOD frenzy, to be honest. I think it's going to be something that's where we'll spend most of our time. But as it sits, there's a lot of divorce leads right now. Unfortunately. So definitely doing that is helpful. I do think that this is a low-hanging fruit. And the reason why I want you guys to try and go after the low-hanging fruit is, did you see how fast I could find their number? I didn't have to skip trace anything. I didn't have to, they can tell me everything about the property. Now, are they 100% honest? Well, he was pretty honest, right? Like, hey, it's going to take you $40,000 just in, you know, in materials to get this house up to par. It's going to need this. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be able to give you a little bit more detail and honest detail. If I'm talking to a notice of default, most of the time, everything and anything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Truthfully, that's just how it is. And it takes 4 or 5 touches for me to actually get them to tell me the truth. And usually it's when I'm in the kitchen table sitting with them at the table, because now it's like, oh, this person's legit here going to be doing this, like, this is the paperwork. And it takes them actually sending me their mortgage statement or their, you know, paperwork, because again, they lie. It's so crazy how often they'll make up the craziest stories so that you want to purchase their house. But at the end of the day, how are we going to purchase your house if we don't know the numbers? Like, I don't know why they think they're going to get away with all sorts of interesting things that they do. This isn't to discourage you, though. So I don't think you shouldn't do those things. I'm just saying that tonight was about showing you the low-hanging fruit, because there's a lot.
Easier,
Yeah, I mean, I just used Sandy as an example today because that's where we like, you know, the East Bench is kind of where we like to work. It's right by Brock, so that's nice. You know, it's easier for us to manage those areas than trying to go to Tooele and then try to go, right? That it's just all over the place. Oh, good. Thanks, Michael. But yeah, I think that's why I chose that in for today. But as you can see, I mean, you could go anywhere in the entire state of Utah or outside of Utah. It's Redfin. You can go anywhere, right? We can go to Texas. We can go to Canada. Or, I don't know if it's in Canada, but anyway, we can go all over and be like, oh, what properties have been on the market for longer than 90 days?
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question. Others?
Anyone else have any questions about the process we did today, the script we used, the seller finance strategies, the acquisition strategies that Maeli's using?
Yeah, I have a question.
Kathy.
That last one, he mentioned that the seller, I guess, would really be interested in, you know, some skin in the game, meaning like 20%. And you said, basically, yeah, we can put something like that together. So how do you get around that? What would you, I mean, say you really don't have more than 10%, and then what do you do?
So that's where I came back with oh, well, we could potentially give you then more for your property. And that's why I don't want to lean into that too hard, because if they want more down, and maybe they do, maybe that is a negotiation tool. But if they want more down, then they're going to have to come down in price to make that justified, right? And so when they see that on paper, it's a lot easier. And he was busy, right? I didn't want to go into a bunch of numbers. He's not going to be able to understand it without seeing it, right? So also know who you're talking to and when, like, to bring up those numbers. I just want to keep him excited so that he answers my phone call. Gotcha. I don't want him to be like, oh, it's Maeli. She's not willing to give me, 20%, or isn't willing to give my clients what they need. That's not what I want him going to bed thinking about tonight. I want him thinking like, oh, she's willing to play ball. That's it, right? I don't want anything else, so that when I do bring a different offer to the table, it's not like, well, you said 20%. I did. So here's the offer that is 20%, but this is what I would need to do to make that work, because you just told me I also have to put 40,000. He put his, he kind of shot that deal down as far as like what the property's worth, by simply just saying you also had to put $40,000 into the property. Okay, well, you already know that. They know that. So now I'm going to give you probably a $400,000 offer. And if I did give you $100,000, would that make sense? I don't know. I got to run the numbers. I got to run the, really, I would run rent numbers, because we got to make our money back. So how are we going to make our money back? How fast can we make our money back? And is it something that our partners, right? You guys, is that something that you'd be excited about? I don't know. We gotta run the numbers.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Good question. Yeah. Was this helpful? Did you like that? Did you like I mean, some people get so, like, on the phone and get so worked up about it, but hopefully, oh, good. I'm glad you liked it. Hopefully you could see it's just, we're just having a conversation. And these are normal people, right? Like, and in fact, if you're calling an agent, they want to talk to you about their property, I promise. Like, they do. They want a phone call. So again, that's nice, because you're not going to get a really angry person answering the phone, which you do get if you're calling NODs or divorce leads. You don't just become you don't just become a person working numbers. Now you are a all-encompassing, having to handle all the drama that is taking place. But
Maeli, I have a question.
Yeah.
If we're calling and we're not a realtor, how do we express our credibility? You'd mentioned that our knowledge, our basically, how does that fit into what a realtor would want to hear from somebody like me calling?
So actually in your script, I don't say, so I have to legally, I have to disclose that I'm a real estate agent. So that's why I do. But actually in the script that I have shared with you guys, I don't say that, right? So it says, I'm interested in the property that I have listed at blah, blah, blah. Here's the address, right? Can you tell me a little bit about the property? If you wanted to, right here, you could say, you could kind of move this part up where it's saying, I have great news. I work with a lot of agents. So instead of saying I have great news, you could just say, hey, I actually work with investors, right? You could say that I work with investors to help them, or to help them purchase properties. And what I do is I set up a situation and a deal that makes sense for both parties, so that you can get your full commission, right? Bringing that up so you can get your full commission, and that my investors actually get a really good deal, right? And we've done hundreds of these properties. You could leverage our team, right? You're part of our team. You've done a lot of deals with us. So it's just simply saying, hey, like, we are a big deal, and we aren't just a fly by the seat company. We've been in it for a long time. And if they have questions, and they will, honestly, originally why we came up with, the YouTube channel, and when we were doing the Man Communities, that was a whole thing with Man Communities, was that, we needed credibility, and Man Communities is what did that for most of us when we were knocking doors and doing all those fun things, because you could leverage the entire team. You could immediately pull up the website and be like, this is who we are, right? Now that credibility question is gone, especially when you're knocking doors, because people don't trust people who are knocking doors for whatever reason. But a phone call is, I feel like, a little bit different. But yeah, I would just leverage the team. I would just say, hey, I work with, right, or I am a real estate investor, and we've done hundreds of homes as a team together. And, I'm really excited and interested in your property at X address. I could perk their interest, like, I'm interested in what you have to say. I know it would interest me if you started a conversation like that.
Excellent advice.
Good. Good. Looks like I have a lot of stuff in the chat. Do I need to answer any questions here? Oh yeah, purchase price, down payment, amortization schedule, interest rate, and balloon. Now, who doesn't have this? Do you need this script? And because here's the thing, once I go through, I have the numbers put together. I am going to go through this with them. I am going to share this with them, and I'm going to be very clear what's in it for me, because people don't do business with people unless they understand your entire intentions, right? This is what's in it for me. This is why I'm doing this. This is what's in it for your seller. This is why you should be very motivated to show them this offer, right? I will show them this. I have a little bit prettier form that I send them, but anyway, that's the verbiage, right? And it has my branding and all that fun stuff on it. But I would just use this, leverage this context, because absolutely this is why they should be doing it, right? And then the script. So if you don't have these things, you let me know and we can put them in the chat, like, or let's see. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to share this without it tweaking the thing, but we can get it to you. And if you don't have the calculator, let us know and we can hook you up.
That was great.
Okay.